Ow, D, O, feel. Boom, 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 boom. Ow, D, O, feel. Ow, D, O, feel. Ow, D, O, feel. Feel, feel.
Wir sind hier mit Apocalyptica, die gerade ihr neues Album veröffentlicht haben und freuen uns auf das Interview mit Eka und Pavo. How would you convince me? I'm not a big fan of metal and also not a big fan of crossover, so how would you convince me of your music?
That's a good challenge. Apocalyptica music is much more than metal. It's Apocalyptica music. It's kind of totally own style, which has elements from very many different styles of music. Of course, metal is very strongly there, but it's we have tons of classical elements, but also pop elements. But you know, the cello and the sound of the band, they kind of melt the music, different music influences. They melt very nicely together because of the very unique sound of Apocalyptica. And I would say sometimes it's even more rock music than metal music, many times. Sometimes even pop elements. So.
But you started with the Metallica covers.
Yeah, that was starting point. We just started to play Metallica songs 20 years ago, just for our own fun, basically. We never had a plan to form a band or make any albums or anything like that. We just played for fun. And then, you know, little things happened and the ball started rolling, and we are still here.
Now we have played over 1,000 gigs all over the world and sold over 4 million albums, and so.
And the biggest event has been the Apocalyptica Live at Leipzig now with the Wagner Reloaded.
That was maybe most spectacular event. We've been playing for bigger crowds, like in Mexico. We played for 10,000 people in Apocalyptica, our show. But of course, as an event, the Leipzig is in a totally own category because the production was absolutely massive. It was like a Wagnerian in perspective.
But which is inside the Wagner, normally.
Yeah, but I think if Wagner would make a performance now, it would be something like that. You know, the size of the performance would be something like that. So it was spectacular.
And who did approach you to do this Wagner event? Has it been a Christian Järvi or who?
No, actually, it's Gregor Seifert, the choreographer and dancer. Gregor Seifert. Original long story is that Bayreuth city asked Gregor to do something for normal people for the Bayreuth Opera Festival for this year. Like, you know, because the tickets are very expensive and it's very difficult to get those tickets. Even so the locals normally don't even go so much to the festival. So they thought that it would be great to offer something for the anniversary year, something special for everybody.
But do you think Apocalyptica is perfect for normal people?
Yeah, because we are so unnormal.
Okay.
And so Gregor thought, okay, he wants to make this spectacular dance thing about Wagner's life. And then he wanted me to write the music and wanted Apocalyptica to perform in this show. For some reason, Bayreuth disappeared. We still were pretty far on planning the project and tried to find then a new partner to make it, and we found MDR. In Leipzig, with Deutsche Rundfunk, they have the summer festival, yearly summer festival, and always have something special as an opening. And because Wagner was born in Leipzig, it was a good combination to make the premiere there.
But and Christian is very open-minded regarding.
Yeah, it was great that he really wants to refresh the audience. You know, he wants to get a new audience for MDR Orchestra. And it was very important to have him also on board. But you know, basically, the whole preparation and the whole story was from Gregor, and I wrote all the music, and Sven Helbig made the orchestration then for orchestra. But so it's mainly Gregor's and our product.
Is it the first time that you did a whole evening with nearly classical music, or mainly based on classical themes?
Not totally. Okay, based on classical music, yeah, in the terms of having Wagner's music in the piece, but in the final performance, maybe 25% of the music was Wagner, and the rest was new compositions which I wrote for the piece. And sometimes they had nothing to do with classical music, except the instrumentation is classical. But we did another solo dance project some years ago, which was also based on old Apocalyptica songs. So we've done some kind of things close to this, but not in this perspective. I think this is the most massive thing we have done so far.
And has it been harder to have these Wagner compositions and not be too close to the original?
Yeah, it's actually
some of the Wagner compositions were like they are, so we didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
So Augusta played those songs, but
there was also like Tannhäuser, and it felt like, I don't want to ruin this. It's perfect music, so I don't get an idea of how to make this different and not to just spoil it. Of course, we had to modify the length of the pieces and the structure from the original, because every scene was driven by the storytelling. So every scene had to be a certain length. And,
which is the life of Wagner, which is told in this Wagner life.
But sometimes I found cool add-ons on Wagner's music. Sometimes I took a part of like Flying Dutchman and then wrote something totally new inside it, and it surprisingly well worked.
Didn't you have any scruples?
What do you mean by scruples?
Well, he may rotate in his grave if he touches music, I think.
Yeah, I think some Wagnerians they might get some trouble with. I think maybe the Judaism in music, that was at least a piece that it was kind of. It was a mixture of Lohengrin, and then I wrote klezmer music, or music which sounds like klezmer, and that might be something.
So it was like a battle between Wagner music and klezmer.
Yes.
And it was based on the writings what Wagner wrote about this negative influence of Jewish music for the negative influence for German music, and that was the battle. I think that could have been something that Wagner would have been rolling in his grave.
And did you have been in contact with Wagner before in Finland? Is he as popular as he is in Germany?
I think in the opera world he is very popular.
Yes, he's like one of the big ones.
One of the greatest. But I personally, when I was younger, I was not a big fan of opera music. So
sure.
that's why Wagner, for me personally, was never really close composer. Now lately, I studied a lot of Wagner when I was writing the music, and of course studied also about his life, which seemed to be very interesting.
In our band, Perttu, the third cello player, he's a really big fan of all the operas. So you can ask whatever, he knows everything about the operas. Yeah. And he said that he has something like 140 different Wagner recordings at home. Yeah. So he's a big fan of Wagner.
Yeah, seems so.
I was not too big fan of Wagner music before, until I got possibility to play those operas in the Finnish National Opera years back.
Then you got into it.
Yeah, they are really that opened my eyes for that music, and it's wonderful music.
Is it also a bigger challenge to play as a cello player or a drummer, to play this sort of music compared with Metallica or No Doubt? Or
it's easy because it's composed for the classical instrument.
Yeah.
So you don't have to think about how to adapt or something like this?
No. It's kind of, still we have a classical education in the background, and we played all kind of classical music, so that's kind of, where our roots are as an instrumentalist. So it's much more challenging to play heavy metal by cello. But there are different qualities, that counts on different styles.
Are you or did you do some technical modifications on your instruments to play all this Metallica stuff?
Of course, there's pickups and microphones, and then we use normal like guitar effects, like distortions and delays and everything, which makes the sound electric. And we have the amplifications like amps and cabinets and so on.
But the strings is the same. You don't have a high tension or something.
No,
like that?
basically they're same. We have just a bit different kind of bows. We have changed, normally the cello bows they have like white hairs, but we have changed them for the black hairs, which are like contrabass players are normally using, because they're a bit thicker and stronger.
I don't know.
And then we use a double bass Rosen, so to get really like a good grip to the sound, and then we can play the fast riff parts easier. But for the melody lines we use still the white hair bows, and basically that's the cellos we are playing are just normal classical
cellos,
instruments.
So these old Italian cellos from 18th century, or
Not in the concerts, not in concerts, but in studio we use those old
Okay.
ones.
Yeah, in the concerts we use modern.
But who would
Modern.
be so mad to borrow you the cello or the old ones?
We are treating the cellos very well,
Okay.
very well.
But they didn't know what you're doing before.
Yeah, no, they know, but it doesn't harm, if we play in studio. But of course, we don't get the expensive old cellos on tour because it's too risky. That's too risky for the instrument. It's not worth the risk.
So maybe you could use some carbon instruments.
Yeah, we tried the carbon ones, but we didn't like it too much.
Yeah, the sound was
The
terrible.
sound was not good on the carbon ones.
Oh, there's
We
a
had
really
one.
good. He's doing violins maker from carbon, which they are not made from carbon, but they have like a thin layer made from carbon. Like the lacquer is made from carbon, so
Okay.
they are really strong and very loud. I think you could
Yeah,
love them.
we had one carbon cello.
Yeah.
It was broken because some truck drove over it in an airport,
Wow.
so they totally smashed.
Yes,
But it had really strong tone, but
Yeah.
the
But it didn't
color was really terrible.
It didn't have soul. It didn't have soul.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's why we don't use electric cellos, because they have no soul either. You need to have, the instrument. Even our cellos, what we use in concerts, they are not like the best quality old ones, but they are modern and decent ones. But you need to have a feeling in your hands, right feeling in your hands for your instrument. That's why we use the old traditional cello.
In a good instrument, it gives a response for you yourself. You can feel it under your bow that it's vibrating real way.
So you would say you have a special emotion, or you have this Finnish soul in your music, even if it is Metallica.
Yeah, playing Metallica is for us nowadays. It's more like having fun and party. Those are party songs. And,
So it's past.
It's kind of past. We perform Metallica songs, but it's more like creating a good party, to play
Yes.
those and have fun. And of course, playing own music is a little bit more serious. It has a little bit deeper meaning and feeling for us when we perform own music.
But why are so many people from Finland so deep into rock music?
It's hard to say. Living in Finland has been hard always. So maybe that's rough people need rough music.
But maybe, or sometimes it is. You search the antipode normally. So if it is rough, you may love sweet music.
That might be so, but our musical history is so. All music from the past almost was in minor. So it's more like we have more like this Slavish musical tradition.
Or Hungary, your language.
Yeah, than the European music tradition. So all this kind of folk music and old traditional songs, they're pretty dark. I don't know. Maybe it's healing us. Finnish are considered to be quite serious people.
Okay.
We have a British sense of humor, yes, but British style humor. But people.
And the Russian soul, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit more Slavish. Like Sweden and Finland, they're totally different on that. Sweden is pop country, Finland is rock country.
Yeah.
But now it's changing. Now it's
Swedes
changing.
they're so happy all the time.
Shiny happy people.
Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah.
But it's changing. At the moment, rock music is getting very much less popular in Finland at the moment. So rap and that kind of stuff is really taking space. But you know, these kind of musical trends, they go like on waves. And if we think about Finnish bands, you know, we had the first international bands from Finland. They were metal bands. And of course, you know, we had the great history of metal bands and dark rock bands, and that because the new generation kids, they love that music, you know, and they wanted to play the same stuff. So that's always like somebody is leading the thing, leading the troops, and then you know you might have a lot of followers from with this little bit same kind of style.
But how did you manage? You are now 20 years. In the music biz, how did you manage such a long period?
Surprisingly well.
I think the secret has been that we've been all the time focusing on this moment, particular moment what's going on, and making all the decisions and musical guidelines based on what we want to do now. And we never had any master plan, you know, for longer term, and I think we've been able to update the band, update the music to make right choices because we've been honest for ourselves. That's why, you know, we never made these decisions like which are fake for us, and I think that's something that people can feel and hear.
And there have not been that many changes within the band.
Yeah, we had like radical changes, you know, turning from a cover band from a Metallica cover band into a band who writes own music, adding drummer. Drummer came in 2003, then started to do these vocal collaborations and did a lot of like almost maybe 20 different collaborations with different singers. So there has been all the time coming new elements into the music. So there has been development. And I think that has helped us to stay motivated, you know, and it helped us to enjoy this because we all the time get new visions and we have a good great meaning for why we are doing this, and I think that's something that people feel. And when we play, we are always been very good on live. Very powerful live band and very entertaining to people. You know, we always see we can count all the teeth in the audience in the end of the show. So I think that's what makes people to come back to Apocalyptica shows, and that's why we are sitting here in this room and talking about it.
And every time we start a new album, we really think that we want to create something new.
We want to get the next level. We want to get the next level always. We are always hungry and thirsty, you know, to develop ourselves.
So for the next album, which will be released end of next year, right?
Yeah, next winter. Yeah.
Are you already composing and?
Yeah, we started. We are not very far. Getting started is always difficult, but we've been having we have spent a lot of time about talking about music and figuring out what is our common feel, you know, what we want to do, what is the direction, what kind of production, what kind of sound we are aiming for, what kind of concept would it be, because we don't want to repeat just the same thing that we did in the past. So, but it's interesting. It might change, but at the moment we feel that after doing Wagner Reloaded, next March we do a tour with our orchestra, symphony orchestra. We come also to Berlin. We play in Tempodrome in March. That will be old Apocalyptica songs, no covers, no singers, old Apocalyptica music made in a symphonical way, and then we've done so much these vocal collaborations. So we've been all over, you know, going there and there, so many different projects. So now it really feels that okay, next studio album, let's make a really tight band record. That, you know, now we want to look inside and see how we can develop four of us, you know.
So more the Apocalyptica from the first hour, or from the first beginnings. not so many collaborations.
Yeah, maybe not so many collaborations, and if cool collaborations happen easily, you know, if some great ideas happen, comes up, then we will do it, of course. But now we are not like, okay, we have to get this and this and this. It's more like, okay, now let's, four of us, everybody out of the room. Now we start to make something special. So.
And you mentioned you want to sound different. But how can a cello sound different? Is it more
Not
the
really.
add-ons that are sounding different?
Yeah, not really sound different, but you know, develop the sound to get it to the new level. There are some parts we are not happy on our sound, which we want to get better.
Okay, which?
I think it's more about how we arrange the music for the band. That everything wouldn't be so bombastic all the time, like massive. You know, our latest albums, they sound massive, but sometimes it's less is more, and
It is
you know,
even
more,
harder.
to get all things more defined.
Yeah.
That's the goal. You never know where we end up, but you know, that's what we're aiming for.
Okay, but the quiet music is harder. The piano is harder than the forte, right?
Yeah, and doubling. You know, if you have only really four cellos playing, it's more critical for what you play, how you play, and how you sound.
So you have to practice a lot.
Yes, exactly. That's the challenge.
Okay.
Because it's easier. You just get a lot of mass. You know, you double, and then you know you suddenly have 60 tracks of cello in the song, or 100 cellos playing on the one song, and maybe sometimes it's better just to have those three.
Do you still have your technique from music high school?
Yes.
Yes, it's even better.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Feel. Boom, 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 boom. Feel. Boom, boom, feel. Feel.